very often the SPR will be 15 or higher. And that actually means that if we have aces and all the money goes in, we're doing very, very, very badly. Hey everyone, what's up? This is Uri for Guerrilla Poker. Today I want to give you guys a bit of a strategy tip. This has to do with a common mistake that gets made online and especially at live games. We're talking about like tips for Vegas cash games, so this is a big tip. Has to do with you being the preflop raiser and someone calling in position preflop. That's a situation. The common mistake people make is actually c-betting. That might be a bit confusing to hear. Give you guys some background. Basically, if you're playing MTTs, very often the situation when you raise and get a cold caller is that there are not many big blinds behind. The stack to pot ratio, SPR, is kind of low. And then your over pairs are good enough to get your stack in with, and you actually want to be fairly aggressive. Similarly, the most common situation we know is when we 3-bet out of position, someone calls us in position, another situation where we want to be very, very aggressive. And again, the stack to pot ratio, the SPR, is low. Very often, if you follow the sizing recommended in the GTO preflop charts that we sell on the Guerrilla Poker website, which is a 5x 3-bet, you'll get an SPR of somewhere between 3 and 4. So whenever you have an overpair, you're super happy to get the money in. If the other guy made a set, he deserves your money, as Doyle Brunson would say. So what's the big difference in a normal cash game setting when you raise and get a cold caller? The big difference is the SPR. When we raise and get a cold caller with no 3-bet and not a tournament structure where we're 100 big blinds deep or even deeper, very often the SPR will be 15 or higher. And that actually means that if we have aces and all the money goes in, we're doing very, very, very badly. You guys probably know this from like you raise big blind calls, you have an overpair, you bet, he check raises. You continue, but as a stack starts going in, you feel like, the overpair might not be good anymore. So same situation, only cold calling ranges are very tight and pocket pair heavy, so they have even more sets than a big blind range. Whereas in a 3-bet pot, like we said, we c-bet if he has us, good for him. Here, presumably we get to c-bet because we have aces and the other guy doesn't, but here the other guy will say, you have aces, good for you, I don't really care that you have aces, I'm just going to raise, and what are you going to do with your aces? So what happens when overpairs no longer have an incentive to get stacks in is that the advantage shifts from the out of position player, you the raiser with initiative with a stronger range, actually shifts to the in position player who is going to make more sets on most boards just due to the way the ranges are built. What this means is that c-betting for the out of position player is actually not a very strong strategy, and the strategy I recommend for most people is if you raise and you get a cold caller, just check everything you have. Now, this is a bit of a simplification, but I love working with simplifications. We want to keep things simple. Checking almost everything you have is a strategy that a ton of high stakes cash and mid stakes cash game players are using these days. So if you guys don't know about it, hopefully you understand the reason. The reason is there's a lot of money behind. Having aces, kings, ace, king is no longer such a big advantage. And if you don't have the advantage and you're out of position, you might as well check. Just like when you call from the big blind, you don't have the advantage, you check. So in these situations, betting will often kind of get you in trouble. And it's much easier and more correct theoretically and practically to play the hand by starting out with a check. Other guy bets, you can call, you can check raise. And if it goes check, your overpairs are in much better shape and get in money very, very cleanly. Kind of a short video, but I think this is a really important piece of advice. Of course, this is backed up by computers and solvers, but just explaining the logic to you guys, because I think if you understand the reason, it's much easier to trust what I'm saying and actually implement it in practice. So just a small piece of advice. Hope it helps you guys at the tables. Like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the Guerrilla Poker website, and I will see you guys next time.